tuning into The Real Tea with T3. I'm your host and then the team leader of Texas Trio Team. Who are you?
Michelle Duty.
And we have an amazing guest for you today. So who are you and what keeps you busy these days?
Hi, Tesia. I am Holly Celestine. I am very busy working with people and helping to support them based on wherever they're at in their needs, whether it be health or finances.
So you and I met a few years ago. It feels like forever ago, like we've lived many, many lifetimes together. And when we met, you do something pretty unique whenever it comes to holistic healing and what that looks like for an individual. So Biofield tuning is what you do, and so much more with sound healing.
Yes. So my journey started years ago when I was having an awakening. My little sister was killed in a car accident when she was 16 years old and leaving my son's birthday party. And I just had so many questions about life. And where do we go after life? And is there life after life? And so I just started jumping down a lot of different rabbit holes. And during that time, I was a senior executive recruiter in the healthcare industry and making a nice six-figure income and really living my best life and supporting my family. However, I knew that there was a greater calling for my life other than just helping people find CEO roles or VP roles or senior leadership roles. And so I just started exploring and dabbling and trying to figure out, what is my purpose here? Why am I here? And where do I go from here? How can I support people differently? And so another thing was learning that, I'm aging. And I'm married to a Marine, and my husband is 13 years older than me. Sorry. And watching him go through shifts and changes with his health and trying to figure out how can I support him better, because the VA healthcare system was more of a sick care system and not a healthcare system. And they were just prescribing pill after pill after pill. And it really wasn't getting to the root cause of why does the body break down and how do we build the body back up. And so this was part of my exploration with this journey. And so I knew that I needed to learn a little bit more about the body and how the body works. So I put myself through massage therapy school so that I could learn more about the physiology and anatomy of the body and be able to massage him. And so I went through massage therapy school, got licensed as a massage therapist. This is all still while being a mother of three and a leader, in the healthcare industry and running a team of the recruiting department. And then after that, I discovered Reiki, and I realized, oh, wow, we have an energy field around us, and I need to explore that now. So now I had worked with the physical aspect of the body. I needed to explore the emotional and the energetic aspect of the body. And so I became a Reiki master and continued my journey and just knew this was not everything that I needed to know. This was just the foundation helping me to build into what I am at this point in my life. And so during this time, I also got certified as a body talk practitioner with another organization. So sorry.
You're totally fine.
Let me take a little drink.
Yeah, please.
I was fine until now.
No, you're totally fine. So whenever I was talking to them, I was telling them that you did sound healing and what that modality looks like.
Yep. So I'm getting to that. So then after learning Reiki, I had discovered a lady off of YouTube, and she was talking about the Biofield. And so even after Reiki, I was like, there's still more that I'm missing here. What else? The body's talking to us. How do I decode that language of vibration? And so then I discovered a lady by the name of Eileen McCusick and discovered Biofield tuning. And when I found Biofield tuning, I was like, oh, this is the missing piece. This is the missing link. This is what I've been searching for. And it just kind of helped bring everything together for me. So by using tuning forks, I'm able to use them diagnostically as well as therapeutically. So I'm able to work in someone's field and be able to pick up the emotional aspects of what's going on in the body as well. Because when we go through traumas, those traumas, sometimes we don't process them properly and they get stuck and they're not able, every emotion wants to reach its destiny. But if we suppress those emotions, if we don't allow those emotions to be expressed, then they get stuck in our field. And when things get stuck in our field, traumas, when we hold our breath, that's not allowing that trauma or that event to flow through us, and instead it gets stuck. And so the tuning forks allow me to hear dissonance in someone's field, and then we're able to, through resonance and entrainment, we're able to detangle that dissonance that's in the biofield of the body and release those fragmented aspects of self and bring it back home again so that it can be back in flow, and so that people can feel more whole and at peace and be able to embrace all aspects of them and be able to not have the charge connected to the story that got stuck in the field.
So, for example, if you're working and you are stressed out, maybe an accident happened, and then like you feel all that tension in certain parts of your body that, yes, a massage can be helpful for, maybe just like
Temporarily.
Yeah, temporarily. And so you can use a tuning fork and identify that and then work it through. And so some people I would just gotta be honest, like, does anybody ever tell you like, that's woo woo, that doesn't work? Like, what are you talking about? And then they come and see you and they tell you the opposite.
Yeah, that's happened a lot. Like my, greatest critics end up becoming, some of my greatest supporters. It's like, I can show you better than I can tell you sometimes, because this is different. It's a different language. This isn't what we're taught. And most of the time, people who come to me, they come to me because they're seeking something outside of allopathic medicine. They've been giving it a try. They've been doing what their doctors say. They've been taking their pills, but things still aren't shifting for them, and they're looking to get to that root cause. And when you're taking medicines, the medicine might work on one ailment, but then it's breaking down something else in the body, because we're not chemical, we're electrical, and we need to increase the electrical voltage within our body. And that is what sound is allowing us to do: sound, vibration, and frequency. Everything in our body's vibrating at specific keynote frequencies. And when I've discovered all of this, it was like having an aha moment. It was like, oh, wow. My childhood, going through Bible school and learning, like, God spoke everything into creation. And when speaking everything into creation, what is behind that? It's tones, vibration, and frequency. So it only makes sense that if that's what created everything, then it is what we need in order to help us heal and thrive. And, a lot of people know this, but a lot of people suppress this information because there's so much money in the sick care system that we have right now.
Absolutely. So when you and I met, I was in a very similar circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was watching a documentary programming system, and they were talking about biofield tuning, and then that there's different practitioners all around the area. But in that time of my life, I wanted something more. I was looking for something else. It was like, I feel like I'm doing so much, but I'm just like not getting anywhere. And so when I found about biofield tuning, and I looked up a local person, there you were, like just 30 minutes away from me. And me and you got on the phone, and it's like we had known each other for generations.
Mm-hmm.
And so we met and started, and you taught me Reiki, and a group of people did a session on me. And it's so empowering to know once you've went through it. And when I went to see you as a practitioner, and you did the work with me, and then talk about the mat that you have with amethyst and all that stuff.
Okay, yeah. So I really nurture the body. These are things I want for myself, so I want to give it to my clients. And after you've experienced for yourself, then you know how to support other people. So on my massage table, there's a sound lounger, and my sound lounger has transducers in it so that I can put in different tones, vibration, and frequencies that are nurturing to the body, so that I can support the body in the vibroacoustics of the sound. And that's a way to help the body integrate the work that we've done. Or sometimes people prefer just to have a complete sound bath and be immersed into the tones, vibration, and frequencies on the sound lounger. And in addition to that, I've taken additional courses, and I know that like 30 hertz helps clients who have Parkinson's, and so people who have tremors, if you use 30 hertz on the bed and they're immersed in that frequency, then it will stop the tremors and the shaking. And it's temporarily, stopping it, but the more the exposure that they have to it, the more and more the body's muscles can build up and thrive again. So it's just a matter of being able to support the body in different ways. On top of the sound lounger is an amethyst biomat. And I love crystals. Crystals are I feel like they're our ancestors. They've been here for many, many, many years. And so, when we die, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. And so that's what compounds and builds our crystals. And so I feel like they're our ancestors, and they carry a lot of energy and help support us in different ways. And so, yes, I have an amethyst biomat on top of my sound lounger, and that really helps to relax the body and nurture the body on a cellular level. And I'm really big about really supporting the autonomic nervous system and the central nervous system so that we can get ourselves out of that fight, flight, freeze and back into more of a parasympathetic state of being, to where we can respond appropriately instead of being so reactive.
Yeah. And so what about like autoimmune diseases and things like that?
Yes. All of this, and a lot of people's belief systems around their diseases or illnesses have a lot to do with where they're at too. Autoimmune systems are a lot of times people who suppress those emotions, or they have this internal battle going within them. They're not able to be as authentic as they want to be. And so sometimes people are afraid to break away from tradition, or they are afraid to be criticized, and so they go along to get along, and they don't necessarily stand in their truth.
And do you notice anybody that, like a common, like, because we're like in a collective state, do you ever notice like trends at a time, like maybe by the month or just the year or anything like that?
Yeah, that can happen. That can totally happen. And also another thing that can happen is if things are a little bit off in my life, my own life, sometimes my resonance, the frequency that's coming off of me is going to be relatable to someone else. There's a sympathetic resonance that happens, which is why we relate to each other, is because there's a sympathetic resonance that we're putting out there in the field that someone else is relating to. And that's what makes us relatable to one another. And how, oh, wow, that happened to me, oh, wow, that happened to me. Like I said, we have these stories that are similar, or the emotions are similar, but the story may be a little different. And that's really what we're working with when I'm working in Biofield tuning. Is Eileen's done a beautiful job of really mapping out where these emotions, the emotional anatomy map of where emotions hang out in the field. And the way that she mapped this out was through a lot of studying other works and being able to work with people and just realizing these same emotions are coming up in the same spot in the field over and over and over again. And so when someone comes in with me, to see me, a lot of times I will use a pendulum to help me determine the best angle of approach, because they'll come in saying, oh, wow, my right shoulder hurts, or their hip or whatever it is on their physical aspect of their body hurts. But then my pendulum will show me that, oh, we need to work with the left knee. And they're like, well, but my right shoulder hurts. But the pendulum's saying, well, we need to work with your left knee, and I'll get to your right shoulder after I work with your left knee, because that left knee is all about attachments. Our knees are all about following our natural inclinations, easily going with the flow. And sometimes when they get out of balance, we've got these attachments and trust issues, and not really allowing us to step into following our natural inclinations, because what would my husband say? Or I've got kids and I just can't do that right now. I'm the breadwinner of my family, so I've got these attachments holding me down and not allowing me to boss up and step into the divine authentic potential that's been given to me and the dreams that I have to manifest those dreams. And so now I'm shouldering this burden of saying yes when I mean no, and caretaking and accommodating others, rather than stepping in and doing the things that I know and in my heart and in my soul that I need to be doing. So you can kind of see how there's an A point and a B point, that once I work with that knee and we liberate that and they're able to start stepping into feeling more empowered, then they're able to speak their truth and be able to not feel so obligated to put other people's needs above their own needs. And when we start finding more balance in our lives, then we're able to be more authentic. We're able to let our light shine brighter, and that gives other people around us permission to do the same thing.
Yeah, and it's like you were saying, and we always say, like, on our team and everything, is like your vibe attracts your tribe. Mm-hmm. And so, like, is that something that like is resonating with what you're doing?
Exactly. Totally. Yes, that's why we vibe together, and that's why we've stayed in touch all these years, because our vibe does attract our tribe, and we do find that we resonate with certain people differently than we resonate with other people. And there's certain people that come into our world, into our lives, and they're here for just a moment, where there's other people that may come into our lives and they're a part of our life for much longer chapters, more chapters of our life. So,
yeah. And so whenever it comes, like when you're in a place and there might be somebody that you've never ever met before, but there's something about them that just doesn't like feel right. Like, do you have any insight as to, is that something with their frequency or that's not aligning with you? Is that probably why, or just intuition?
Totally. All the above. Yeah. And you don't know what's going on in their world. Like, I genuinely enjoy being around people. I genuinely enjoy getting to know people. I genuinely enjoy hearing other people's stories and learning about them, because I feel like everyone has something that they can share to teach me. And likewise, it's reciprocated. I have something that I can share and possibly help support them in their journey and inspire them. And I learned that from my father. My father used to go to a lot of different churches. Even though he was loyal to the church that he went to, he really enjoyed visiting other churches. And I was like, why do you do that? Why do you go to other churches? And he was like, because there's always something that I can learn. And there's always gems and diamonds that I can learn and pick up, little golden nuggets that I can pick up in other people's churches and other people's presence. And he was like, I enjoy even talking to the janitor at my office. And he was a master electrician, and he worked for a company called Kelly Springfield. And he was like, I'll sit at the table and I'll talk to our janitor, because there's always so much that you can learn from other people. And I learned that at a very young age from him. And so that inspired me to really be open to understanding, wow, just because I'm getting a kind of a bad vibe or something, I don't really believe that. I think everyone has potential, and perhaps that person's just going through a really bad time in their life, a really rough patch in their life. And so I'll smile at them and maybe even just say hello to them, just so that I can possibly get a smile on their face or make them feel like someone sees you. I see you. So, yeah.
That's really special. And so do you ever have, like, you're talking about that your dad went to church. Did you go to church as a kid?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you ever have the people that tell you, like, this is what you're doing is against God or anything like that battle? Do you ever get that resistance?
In the very beginning, I did. I won't say which religion. I'll try to be politically correct. So there's a particular religion that is a little bit more stringent than others. And so they'll say, what you're doing is of the devil or a sin. I don't really hear that anymore, but that was like, I started this back in 2015-ish. So a long time ago. And so it was a lot more woo-woo back then too. But, I'm like, this isn't pitchforks, it's tuning forks. There's a difference. And then I remind them, of the very beginning in Genesis of the Bible. What does it say? How did everything get created? Tones, vibration, and frequency. And that's really what I'm using to help nurture and support the body. So, yeah, it's all about educating. People I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I was going to say, people, when they don't know about something, it's all about educating. And there's a little bit of an ignorance in the beginning, but then when you can start educating and enlightening people, then they have a tendency to start shifting their perspective.
Yes. So I was going to ask about, since you brought up the skeptics, so if somebody comes in and says that their shoulder is hurting, mm-hmm. do you ever find that they just pulled a muscle, or is it okay?
Totally.
And so how do you differentiate from that versus emotions being locked up?
Okay. That's a great question, Michelle. And a lot of times there's patterns in our life that will come into our awareness at certain times. And so y'all have heard of detox. Mm-hmm. Well, there's also pre-tox. So a lot of times people who have scheduled to come see me, their bodies are already responding to them having a session before they ever even get there. And so that might happen right before they come, because this is a pattern that we need to work with, that they've been like enduring, saying yes when they mean no, caretaking and accommodating, or they're speaking but not being heard. So that shoulder could be working between the heart chakra and the throat chakra, because it's right there in between both, right? And so that could be ancestral work that we're working with, something that they've brought into this life to be able to help clear on behalf of that DNA lineage. And it's just a pattern that they've, experienced throughout their whole entire life. And it just so happens that it's coming up again so that we can detangle and clear all of that out so that they can then get some relief. And I will work with I have Zen Therapeutics singing bowls that I put on the body, and then my weighted forks. And so I'll definitely work with the muscle and help that muscle to be supported and nurtured as well.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
And so also, I mean, we come across people in our lives, or even sometimes ourselves, as like we're just down, and it just seems like there's bad luck everywhere we turn. It's something crazy that's going on, something traumatic, something that just is so impactful that, sometimes you just don't even want to get out of bed. Is that because of these situations building up within the body? Just your vibe is not making it easy to get through each day.
Yeah, it definitely can happen. We all have our ups and downs in our lives, and there's a resiliency that we have to build up within ourselves, and so that to me is low voltage. And when low voltage happens, it allows things to compound, and it allows things to feel overwhelming. And that's when you need to find that inspiration within you. You have to find that persistent resiliency within you to get out and feel the sun, hear some birds sing. Whatever it is that brings you joy and peace, try to tap into that. Take some time to reflect. Take some time, sometimes whenever those things are happening, it's because that higher power is trying to get our attention, because we're not honoring our truth. We're not, like we've been asking for help, and help's been trying to be given to you, but yet you're shutting the door and you're not stepping into it, or you're not feeling inspired because you're constantly doing what other people want you to do and not necessarily what you want to do. So, we've all had those times in our lives, and we just have to find the courage to keep going and the courage to figure out what led me to this and ask those questions.
Yeah. And I know whenever sometimes that you're saying that the universe is giving signs, God is giving us signs all the time of like, hey, go over here, your angels, or however you want to identify that as your guidance. That sometimes like you're getting all the signs, but you're not seeing it. And it's because you're not stopping and being mindful.
Yeah, totally. So that root chakra is all about finding balance with expending your energy. So that going and going and going and going and going, is that going because you're trying to avoid something? Or is it because you're trying to prove your worthiness in some type of way? Or is there guilt and shame that's hanging out behind that? So really finding that balance with your root chakra also means that you're taking time for stillness, taking time for reflection, taking time for, nurturing your needs and the things that bring you joy without feeling guilt or shame around it, without feeling guilt or shame because you took the day off, because you needed some mental hygiene, so that you could flourish the next day. So yeah, finding that balance with our energy.
And so one of the things that is so cool about like recognizing that sound and vibrations and frequencies can have such an impact on us is it's all around us all the time, but it's so embedded in the music that we listen to and in the movies.
Yeah. When you were talking about someone who's feeling a bit overwhelmed by life, I would just say to those people, what are you listening to that's feeding that? And then is there something differently that you can tune into to help inspire you more? Reading books of inspiration, listening to other people's journeys, those things are inspiring to me. Those things keep me going. And, trying to find music that supports feeling happy. Like tones, vibration, and frequency are all around us. When you're listening to certain music, someone doesn't have to tell you that it's a sad song. You can tell that it's a sad song just based on the way that the song sounds and feels. That happy song by Pharrell, no one has to tell you that that's a happy song. It just makes you feel pumped up and happy, A lot of times when I'm feeling down, I'll play Shaka Khan, I'm every woman, and it's like inspiring, it's like, yes, I can do this.
When my daughter was in high school, she was a goalie for soccer, and she got a concussion. Can we pause just a second?
No.
Sorry, I felt a frog.
You're good.
This is going to sound, promise. So anyways, when my daughter was in high school, she was a goalie for soccer, and she got a concussion. When she got the concussion, this is a child who music was her life, line. And she went from listening to music 24/7, no matter what she was doing, to 0. And I knew something was wrong, Oh, I'm going to cry.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, so I would play music. Even though she wasn't, I would play her music.
Yeah.
And anyways, she came back.
Yeah.
And now again, she's back to, 24/7 music, but
That's okay.
anyways, so it was, it makes so much sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what they talk about with dementia and Alzheimer's, people who are going through losing their memory. They're able to connect again with that memory because of their loved ones bringing in that music and helping to remind them of that. And then memories start flooding through them, and they're able to start talking about their story and connecting through music. Music is a carrier wave.
Crazy.
And it's also levitating. And music inspires all of us, and it inspires us through movies. You wouldn't know that if you had no volume on a scary movie, it wouldn't faze you a bit.
True. Very
It's
true.
the music that they have in the background that's really getting us.
The same goes
Built
for
up.
like
Church, yes. Totally.
mainstream news.
Yes.
They embed it in their music or in the background. Like, what is it called? Basically, like, you don't know that it's playing, but it's there.
Yeah. Yeah.
They want you to have a feeling when you're done watching it.
Subliminal messaging.
Thank
too.
you. That's what I was looking for. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Subliminal, like, sounds
Yes.
and frequencies. Yeah. And it's so powerful, like how it can shift your mood just in music or, the words. One quote that my cousin that passed away told like a long time ago was like, happy people hear the music, sad people hear the words. And of like the song that's going on. And the more I think about it, I'm like, it's so true.
Yeah. 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 That's amazing.
So not only you've got Biofield tuning and you've got sound bowls and things like that. And so talk about sound baths. What is that for someone?
Okay. So sound baths are, just a way of being able to work with groups of people rather than one-on-one. It's a way for people to pause out of the busyness of their life and to be able to just really take a moment to tune in to themselves. And like I said just a moment ago, sound is a carrier wave, so it allows people to be able to kind of get between that alpha theta cusp with their brain waves and be able to get into a place to where they don't have to think about anything. They don't have to process anything. They can just be. And sometimes sound can take us through a journey. Sometimes it allows us to really process emotions and stuck energies within us that we really didn't even know we had until we get exposed to the drum or the bowls or what have you. And the body just naturally starts to release things that it's been holding on to for a long time. So sound baths are really powerful ways of just being able to not feel like you have to talk about, there's no talk therapy involved. It's just being and allowing and becoming more embodied, tuning into your body and just allowing yourself to experience being immersed in someone's way of being able to nurture you and love you through music and sound. It's just a beautiful way to have this ceremony with self.
I was in a museum, I was in a museum and happened upon a sound bath.
Oh,
Cool. It was, yeah. And I had never been exposed. And so anyways, I went and you sat on a pillow and there were, the instruments, I guess,
Yeah.
is what you call them up front. And I didn't understand what was going on, but it was just like stillness.
Yes.
Not only externally, but internally. That's the only way I could describe it. I was like, and I had told Tesia, I was like, I need a sound bath.
Right. Yes.
I'm not sure why. I don't know I don't understand anything about how it works, but
It can be very
it felt like it did.
transcendental and transformational. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one cool thing that you and I had talked about in the past, and you teach in your lessons, is you're talking about how like a piano can have a resonance with certain parts of your body, or even drums and chimes, things
Right.
like that. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So as I had mentioned a little while ago, like every single part of us is vibrating at specific keynote frequencies. And we just need to support the body through different tones, vibration, and frequency for the body to hear that it's out of tune. So basically, they still do it today. They use tuning forks to tune a piano. They use tuning forks to tune a guitar and other instruments. And instruments do that to our bodies. Your body is a musical instrument. It is an orchestra. And the same way that your piano needs to be tuned, the same way that your car, after using it a lot, needs to be tuned, or a guitar, after you've played it a lot, it needs to be tuned. Our body is no different. It needs to be tuned as well. And so by using different tones and vibrations and frequencies, the body can hear that it's out of tune, and it naturally wants to autocorrect itself. And that's what's so beautiful about using different chimes and drumming and just different things like that, because emotions respond to those things too. And if you've ever had a drumming sound bath, that is a pretty powerful experience as well. And then after the drumming, if you bring in some chimes, you go from that yin, from that yang back into the yin, and so there's those opposites of like, wow, it's just so immersive, and it just will take you places, and memories will come. Maybe you were in your grandmother's home one time and you could hear the chimes outside, and that can just stir up emotions within you, or just different things from your past that you can connect with through music. So it's just beautiful.
And what you were saying about, I watched a documentary, and it may be the one you were talking about, that like people with dementia, and they've done so many scientific studies on it.
Yeah.
And there's people that are going in and doing this on a regular basis because they're noticing that it's working for people.
Right.
So I watched that documentary probably 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And my grandmother has dementia, diagnosed a couple years ago, and then my father has a traumatic brain injury after his recent accident.
Yeah.
So recently over the summer, when I went up to the state where I'm from, and I was like, I'm going to put my AirPods in their ears and play music that like I know that they would have listened to in their younger age.
Yeah.
And that works.
Yes.
My grandmother, who doesn't really she's not great at communication, and plus she struggles with her condition. She was like, ooh, rock and roll. I think it was like CCR that I played for her, and it clicked with her. And then my dad, who, he really, really struggles like with his injury. Right after his accident, I put in Bob Seger, and he knew every single word and sang like, but he didn't remember like who we were at the time or where he even was, but he knew those words.
Yeah. It's amazing. Whenever we were little, we used to sing the ABCs, right? And that's so that it would stick with us. And I can remember, like, anytime I was trying to learn something, if I would convert it into some type of song, it would stick with me a lot easier. It's just crazy, because sound is a carrier wave. I didn't know that when I was younger, but now I do. But that's why, because it carries that wave of information and those emotions and everything behind it. So, yeah, it's pretty amazing, pretty phenomenal.
Love it so, so much.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, one of the things that you've taught me over the years is that just because you have that one specialty, like you came from a completely different like lifestyle, professional, background, all of that. You're a mom. And you have just learned over the time to take the little pieces from each little thing that you're learning and growing and building into the purpose. Like you were looking for the purpose, at that time, but it's just all the little nuggets you've picked up along the way that makes you who you are.
Right.
And so you taught me that, like, and I told your daughter that whenever we recently had lunch together, is I realized I didn't have to be inside of a bubble.
Right.
Like, to be who I was and what I
Yeah.
wanted to be. I can have 1,000 different things that make me who I am.
Right. There's layers to us. There's total layers to us. And life comes around full circle, at some point or at many points. And you get an opportunity to really share parts of you and pieces of you and kind of figure out how to reinvent yourself, so to speak, and pivot sometimes whenever life throws you a curveball or whenever you just get inspired to do something different. I watched a documentary this week on Martha Stewart, and it was quite inspiring. And she's a hell of a woman, and I love women, and our resiliency and, just being able to learn how to boss up and being able to feel more empowered. And she was all about that. And she didn't allow, she was a woman in a man's world when she was going through a lot of times in her life. And the first woman billionaire, she was the only woman on the stock market, like she is just so inspiring to learn her story. And that's kind of how I've lived my life. I believe in myself, and I believe that I'm here to have a greater impact on other people's lives and inspire other people in whatever way that I can and support them however I can. And in order to do that, I have to do that for myself. So it starts with us. And so I've recently kind of pivoted again in my life. Even at 51, you can still reinvent yourself. And so my daughter has been homeschooled most of her life, my youngest. I'm a mother of three, so I have a 26-year-old, a 25-year-old, and a 17-year-old. And been married for 31 years to a Marine. And so my youngest, I homeschooled most of her life, and this year would be her senior year. And, rather than have her on a computer just learning things on the computer, I decided that I would get her involved in a financial agency. And so I received an IUL. I got an IUL on myself, a life insurance policy, Index Universal Life Insurance Policy, about 2 years ago. And I went to that organization. They're a couple of suites down from where my office is in the Woodlands. And I asked them if they would help me intern my daughter so that she could learn more about the world of money and how to build money, how to save money properly, how to invest her money properly, and how to be an entrepreneur. And they were all too excited to help us be able to plug her in and nurture her in a greater way so that she can have skills that she can use, as she begins her journey of young adulthood, and position her to be in a place to where she is more in control of her life and not having to work for other people. I'm all about free enterprise. I'm all about us being here to help small businesses and support each other and, really be able to be in a position to be in control of our finances. And you can't be in control of your finances when you're working for other people. You have to be able to have an opportunity to be able to, you have to be in an opportunity to where, you have uncapped potential and that it's all up to you. And not everyone thrives in that type of business because they've been programmed by the system to not. But that was kind of the reason why I homeschooled her and why I got her plugged into the financial industry that I have her in. And if you were to Google, what industry has the most millionaires, it's the finance industry, the financial industry. And so it's not about the money, it's just about security and making sure that she's in a secure place. And
financial freedom is something that, we aren't taught in school.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, we're not. We're not taught that. And I wanted that to change. Like, it starts with us. The change that we want to see in this world starts with us. And we have a responsibility for that if we want to see it change. We can't rely on other people to do it for us. And so I decided that I was going to help put her in a position to where she could have financial freedom. And in the process of doing that, I decided that I wanted to learn more about it too. And I didn't want to just have an IUL. I wanted to know more about how do they build their wealth? How do they grow? And I was like, we're going to do this together, honey. We're going to grow together. We're going to build a brokerage firm together. And so in addition to having my sound therapy practice, I'm now also a licensed practitioner, with life insurance. And so now we are growing our own brokerage firm together. And when she turns 18, which will be in 2 months, she'll be able to have that training that she needed in order to thrive in this business and be able to help protect people through policies, because life insurance has changed over the years. It's not just about death benefits. It's about positioning yourself so that you can have infinite banking, so that you can be your own banker. And a lot of people don't know this. So with an index universal life insurance policy, you're able to build cash value, so you can overfund it, and that's building and growing compound interest. And so by the time she's 30 years old, she'll have, close to $500,000 available to her that she'll be able to utilize however she wants to or needs to buy a home, to buy a car, to start another business, whatever it is, to travel, whatever it is, it will be there to help protect her. She doesn't have to use it at all. It can continue to grow that compound interest until she's ready and needs to access it for whatever reason. They also have living benefits. And that was some of the things that, that I was desiring, is because as I age, I'm a solopreneur, or was a solopreneur. Not anymore, but I was a solopreneur. I didn't have insurance, and I needed to be able to protect myself as I aged. What if something happened? What if I became disabled? What if I wasn't able to use my hands and strike the tuning forks? What if I wasn't able to use my singing bowls on someone? What if something happened to me physically and I wasn't able to work the way that I have been working in the capacity that I've been working? My IUL, the living benefits from my IUL will pay me. And they will pay me the rest of my life to be able to have a nurse, to be able to have the benefits that I need in order to continue to live and thrive. And then in addition to that, there's death benefits. And so because of all of those benefits, I was like, wow, this is pretty amazing. More people need to know about this. And from the fact that my husband's aging, we had a term life insurance policy years ago, and we had it for 30 years. And I couldn't do anything with it. Couldn't roll it over, couldn't do anything with it. So after that 30 years, it was over with. I had spent all of that money on that term life insurance policy back when we were healthy is when I purchased it. And now that he really needs it, we can't, because his body is totally broken down and we wouldn't be able to get the insurance on it. It would just cost outrageous to get this type of insurance policy on him now. And I want to help educate people. I think financial literacy is very much needed. And so that's kind of what my daughter and I are doing, this mother-daughter team, so that we can help educate the younger generation so that they know and that they can set themselves up for having a prosperous future for themselves and being able to set families up to protect themselves in case, life does happen to us. And we never know when something's going to happen. And we never think that something's going to happen to our children before us. But yet my little sister, 16 years old, fatally was killed in a car accident. And so things do happen to people unexpectedly. And it's really important for me now at this point in my journey to really help other people feel protected and to be able to sleep better at night, knowing that, they have that protection that they need.
So since you're in the homeschool area, what is going to be your method to get to that generation? You're not going to be able, are you going to take it into the public schools, or how are you going to get it?
Public schools would never accept this.
They wouldn't. Okay.
But social media does, right?
Okay.
And
so on social media is your platform. That's what I was trying to ask.
Yeah,
yes.
My daughter is the younger generation. I'm not on social media that much, if I'm being honest. I'm just too busy. I don't have time. I could make time, and I probably will at some point, but I'm relying on her to be able to promote this through social media and build it with the younger generation, because that's who they're relating to, right? Yeah. And so with me, so she'll be promoting that part. And for me, it's more along the lines of the older generation. I'm, 51 years old. So I'll be working with people on their annuities and helping them secure their retirement, people who've had old 401s, 401ks, 403bs, just mutual funds, stock markets. With the IUL, you're able to secure your money and it will never lose its value. If the stock market were to crash, your money stays safe. and a lot of people don't realize that. And even with an annuity, you can have an FIA, a fixed index annuity, and that's very similar to a life insurance policy, to where it is capped, but it's also got a floor so that you're not going to be losing any money should the stock market not perform. So a lot of people aren't aware of this, and you can get a lifetime of income. And as we age, we want our money to still grow, and it doesn't grow. The Social Security doesn't grow, right? And so we can be putting that money into a fund to where it can grow, and you'll be able to not outlive your money. The sad part is when we are taking Uber, if you've traveled and you happen to get in an Uber car, I would say a huge amount of people that are driving those Ubers are older people because they cannot afford to not work at this point. And that's so sad to me, and I don't want that to continue to be the story for us.
Do you think that your role in like the medical industry and recruiting and doing all of that like helped you on a corporate side level?
100%. Yes. 100%. This is why I was saying life comes around full circle for us. Because being able to be a part of a leadership team and to be able to promote others within my recruiting department, being able to mentor others, being a teacher for Biofield Tuning. I'm still a teacher for Biofield Tuning. I do retreats out in Costa Rica on an annual basis. All of these different things that I have done has led to this moment, this pivotal moment in my life, to where I'm totally feeling equipped and able to help support people where they're at, and being able to help them lift themselves up if they need help being lifted up, or if they need some safety and support with their finances. So just being able to meet their health needs, to be able to meet their wealth needs, and just really truly being able to support someone exactly where they're at in whatever it is that they're needing. So yeah, life has come around 360 for me. I really enjoy people. Recruiting helped me with that. So even if I'm talking to someone about becoming an agent and now's not the right time, or, they don't see the opportunity the way that I see it, that's okay. But maybe they can see the opportunity as being a place for them to start growing their money. So maybe if they're not interested in being an agent, maybe they're interested in a policy. And if that's not the case either, no just means not yet for me. It's never that they're turning me down or that this isn't a good fit for them. It just means the timing is off, and that's all.
Yeah, and that's like one of the biggest things in sales or just leadership or just, life itself is like that one no, is getting you one step closer to the big yes.
That's it. That's all it is. It's just not the right time. So.
Well, I don't know about y'all, but I feel so much more relaxed at the end of this conversation than I did at the beginning.
Well, I mean, and so that's when that kind of came full circle of us talking about is like when we're in the middle of a major transition, like of where our studio is, where our office is, and like all of that stuff. And so I love that we can all work together to make it happen. We're in a temporary space, and it was like, oh, the Wi-Fi isn't working. Oh, this isn't working. None of this is working. And then it was just like, all right,
deep breaths. Just take a breath.
Fine.
Pull it together.
Deep
we got
breaths.
this.
And one thing that I learned from you too that I just have to share with everybody is like whenever you're doing like your sessions, and I'm sure if that no matter what business that you're working in is like remind yourself to breathe. Like you remind other people to breathe, just like I need you to breathe.
Yes, I probably should have started off that way. And just said, hey, let's all take a breath together.
Well, let's, before we sign off and everything, do you have any questions about, like before?
No, it was great.
I know.
I learned a lot.
Good.
You will learn forever and ever, like when you connect with Holly. And so if someone wants to connect with you, learn more about biofield tuning or sound healing, or even just life insurance and what that could mean for them and their families, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
They can reach me through my internet, or through the website. I'm sorry. It's energytuneup.net.
Awesome.
Yep.
Good name.
Yeah. She's just like, we could talk for hours for real. She's such a great inspiration to the world. Thank you for everything. And so before we sign off and close everything, do you want to just all take a breath together?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. I'll let you lead it.
Let's all take an inhale. Ready? And an elongated exhale. And just release and allow things to flow through you.
I love it so much. And thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us at texastrioteam.com. Take care. Keep living your best life.